What is going on, everybody? So I'm back today to talk about another new release film. And this was a movie that has been on my radar for a while to watch, and this one took me by surprise in the best way possible. And it moved me quite a bit, and it was one of the most subtle and nuanced films I've watched of the entire year, and that is the movie Aftersun. Aftersun is directed by Charlotte Wells. Sophie reflects on the shared joy and private melancholy of a holiday she took with her father 20 years earlier. Memories real and imagined fill the gaps between mini DV footage as she tries to reconcile the father she knew and the man that she didn't. This film stars Paul Mescal and Frankie Corio. Paul Mescal playing the father, Frankie Corio as the younger daughter. And this film starts off where you're in this like club setting and you see Paul Mescal's character and the older version of his daughter in this club where this like strobe lights are in effect really heavily and you can barely make out their faces. And then it jumps to mini DV footage and you see at the beginning of the film her father saying goodbye to her. The father's name is Calum and the daughter's name is Sophie, and you see Calum saying goodbye to Sophie after their vacation has ended. And so then the film jumps to the two of them taking this vacation together, going to stay at this resort, and the entire film is their interactions together and them staying at this location together and what's kind of going on behind the scenes. And what is so different about this film comparatively to other like coming of age films or films that show tense dynamic between family members, this really doesn't have a lot of conflict interlaid throughout. It's more of this like dream-like, almost ethereal film that puts you in the space of what you would feel like as a 12-year-old kid being on vacation with your family and remembering a lot of the good times. There's a lot of moments in this that are, great moments between a father and a daughter, but it ends up culminating into this thing of, is Calum's character all that he appears to be on the surface, or is he struggling with more? And I think this dives similarly into a film that was released last year called The Lost Daughter, where it was all about a person being forced into parenthood earlier than they wanted to be, and that had Olivia Colman as the older mom and Jessie Buckley playing the younger version of the mother, and like watching their struggles as a person who wanted to be a business professional but couldn't do it. And in this, it seems like Calum's character loves his daughter wholeheartedly but doesn't really think that he's that great of a parent and doesn't feel like he is where he's supposed to be in his own life. And so there's this internal struggle with him, and then you're looking at this 12-year-old girl who she just wants a relationship with her dad. And it really struck a chord with me, especially like I have a very tense family dynamic on my own, and like it sent me to a lot of different places in my head, and it really moved me emotionally. This isn't one of those films where you have those sequences of like really big moments of anger between characters, because that's not always how life goes. There's a lot of like subtle conversations or sly remarks or moments after a certain situation that just are quick, but you can feel the tension between the two characters. And I think those moments are so much more powerful than like the overblown Hollywood Hallmark-esque things that you get in a lot of these films that are released now. This movie really moved me a lot. I thought the cinematography was incredible. There were so many sequences that where the camera was chosen to be placed was so interesting. Like they're shooting on this mini DV camera, and there's this one sequence where the camera is on a tripod and it's looking at a TV in their hotel room. The daughter is asking the father like, what were you like when you were 12 years old? And he's really reluctant to answer the question, and he gets mad and tells her to turn the camera off. And they start to have a little bit of a conversation about it. But what's interesting about the framing is the only way you see the characters is through the reflection of the mirror that the camera's pointed at and through their reflection in the TV screen. And there's so many shots like that in this film where it feels like the camera placement is really a poetic decision in making you think about why it's placed in that specific spot and how that dialogue is reflective of where the camera is placed. And it's just incredible filmmaking, in my opinion. And there's not a lot of films that I feel like I've seen that feel the way that this movie does. It's such a unique viewing experience, and it's not this like high octane action film. It's not even like a really heavily overly dramatic movie. It's very quiet, and it's very thoughtful, and it's clearly reflective of this filmmaker in one way or the other. I feel like this has to be an incredibly personal experience because it feels very personal. It feels like you're peering into someone's life in a way that's just like reflective of what exactly happened. And that's really always impressive to me. And some of my favorite films are very slice of life and grounded tales of reality. And I feel like Paul Mescal gives one of my favorite performances of the year. It's so nuanced. It feels so realistic. He feels like a very caring and their father who is also going through things in his own mind. And there's a couple of sequences with him towards the third act that are just so incredibly impressive, where I feel like he gives it his all in this movie. And the young actress in this as well, she is so incredible. I feel like when it comes to child actors, I've said this before on my channel, I'm not always 100% in it with child actors because there's a lot of times it just feels like kids reading off a script, but she feels so natural and perfect for this role, and her dialogue delivery is great. It really feels like a relationship between a father and a daughter, and it's portrayed so well. And this is one of my favorite films of the year. I feel like it probably won't be everyone's because it's a very quiet, nuanced, somber film, but I think if you're into that level of filmmaking and you're into like the minute details of filmmaking, this is 100% a film that you're going to enjoy. Have you seen Aftersun? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was absolutely brilliant. Really took me by surprise and is one of my favorite films of the year. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always looking for new material to review and look forward to getting it out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.